Hey guys, so what is going on? In today's video we're going to be making a Faze logo. I covered how to make a logo like Trap Nation, and you guys seem to like the idea of me doing that. A lot of people were searching for that, and what seems to be one of the most popular logos is the Faze logo. So today I'm going to be showing you in this video how to make the Faze logo exactly how it is. If you want to apply the knowledge of knowing how to make a logo like Faze but for your own team, then go over to part 2. But I recommend, even if you do want to do that, watching this video and following along with me so that you learn the basics on how to do it before making one for yourself. So this video will be covering flat art like you see on the screen at the moment. I made this little example of all the different kinds of logos that they use. So the flat art one, which you might think it's 3D, but it's only because they have some drop down lines, but it's actually flat design. And then you have 3D in the middle, which probably wasn't the best example because the background is black, but that is what the 3D Faze logo looks like. It's kind of shown better on the one on the right, but I used the one on the right to demonstrate the pop-out effect. So you can see the alligator at the top of the logo literally looks like he's coming out of the logo. So I'll be going over all those 3 steps in this video. Let's open Photoshop and get started. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is open a new document. And I'm going to go with my resolution for my computer, but you guys can go with whatever you want to use. Mine's 1920 by 1080. And because I would like to make the logo in white, I'm going to make quite a dark background. So I'm going to choose a grey and a black, or very, very, very close to black. And then go to the gradient panel. And run down, oh let me switch that around, run down a nice dark colour, and then I'm going to go into the actual gradient map and lower it even more. So the first thing that we're going to be wanting to do is make the shape of it, and for this we're going to be using the pen tool. I've got here a reference image for us to use. Delete the background from that. Just pop that up in the corner, just as a reference. Now this might take us a while to get this perfect, but this is just good practice for you using your lines. Obviously you could trace over this, but you're going to want to learn how to get comfortable with the pen tool if you're going to want to make one of these logos for yourself. So the first things first is I'd like to see if this is exactly horizontal. So basically their lines are exactly horizontal. What I mean by that is if I put a pen tool there, hold shift and click it again anywhere. Oh, that was too low down. It's going to make a 45-degree angle going up diagonally, like from a perfect angle. So if we make ourselves a tall rectangle like this, and then the Faze thing down here. In fact, we should do that first so that we get it right, like that. And then this is where rulers are going to be very helpful. So I'm now going to drag a ruler that connects to that one, so I can see how far to go and back down. And I still managed to get it a little bit off. Pretty clever. So because it is doing that, I'm going to go a little bit over, like that. I'm going to fill that in with solid white on a new layer, and then I'm just going to use the selection tool just to slice off this extra bit. So it's just learning how to do little things like that are going to help you really understand the pen tool. And now we could be smart about this and just flip it over, because I think that is about the same width from there as on top. So we're going to duplicate, which is Control J, flip it over here, and then edit, transform and flip vertically to get it this way up. Gonna put it there, gonna flip that around, edit, transform, flip horizontally to get it facing that way. Pop that over there. They then have another one coming down straight from there, somewhat like that, and that actually comes out a little bit more. Gonna move this whole thing over. And that just completely ends have to move this out even more, to be honest with you, like that. And they have another bit down here that comes just out a tiny bit. Or on this logo. I don't actually, it looks really weird. If I go and look at... that is how it's done though. There's no arguing with that. I think that needs to come up there a little bit more though. So how far out is that? That bit is right below, so it should be in quite a bit more. Need to get rid of this big stem so that I can actually start to see how it's coming together. Lift that up. And this bit I would like to start about there. And I'm going to use the mouse tool to find out what layer that bit was on. And it was actually that layer, and just hit delete. And there we have a very rough, quite sketchy looking, I'm not sure. So I think I've done it all a little bit too thin. But that's alright because this is all for demonstration purposes, but you basically have the Faze logo there. It looks a little bit strange on the left side, but if say you were to shrink it all down a little bit, and they never have theirs straight flat on like that, they always have it slightly like tilted in some way. That is why that will start coming to life a little bit more. So if we just hook up a Faze logo, Google Images search, straight down and out. So they are quite like different in some images. That one's tilted, and most of them seem to be tilted outwards with the 3D effect coming in. So we're just going to merge this all together, and we're going to go for a slightly inward tilt like they do. And now we're going to start working on making it 3D. So I'm going to lighten the background up, and I'm going to make the logo itself bright red. And now I'll be showing you how to make your shape-based Faze logo not black, have a 3D pop-out effect. So if we look at how they've done it, it's basically a thin outline from everything that's underneath it and a little bit above until it gets up there, and just a drop that's coming down from both angles, so it's coming down that way. And then over here it's coming down like inwards from that way. And they've actually made their logo sort of come out like that over at this top bit, just so that they can have the overhang. I guess that makes it look better. Oh, and I'd like to just trim that bit off perfectly, because you can see it's not lined up, so that might help balance it out a little bit. Yeah, that needed doing. Something else that I've noticed is this bit, you can see the line's actually a lot further out, it's not there, whereas on this one it's just there. So to fix that, we'll go over the top. Oh, this is getting a bit messy now because obviously we made it at an angle. Just gonna go for something like that, a little bit messy, but it will do the trick for now. Cool. So now we're gonna start with the shadowed underneath parts, the bit that's starting to make it 3D. And for this, I'm gonna just have one last peek. Yeah, so it does just come out quite a bit. So I'm even gonna make the overhang that they had just to do this. I'm not sure if this part's necessary, but it's helping me in my head work out what is actually going on. It's just a little bit like that, just off the edge. And then with the rubber, just to block out the edge, because I want a sharp thing like that. somewhat like that. I'll duplicate that and do that the same over here. Right, and that looks a bit intuitive, but if I pull this down now, I have to keep referring back to this, so that could come. So actually it seems to come down at less of an angle than I thought it did, so it's maybe like that. So if I go for something like that, and how do they have, okay, so this end actually does come out quite a fair bit. So it's just really looking at their exact style. Here it tucks in above that point and meets there. And it's a very thin following around this side. So there you have the Faze logo remade. We're going to get underneath and we're going to paste that colouring down. And to boost the 3D effect, they actually had this point, I'm assuming it went straight down, this point coming out at a bit more of an angle like that, just to show that it's all on different layers. So what I mean is when I paste this in, you can see that it doesn't just go straight down, it hits there and comes out a little bit more. Then we have to do just this little bit up here. Which is like that. And then in quite a bit and across. Fill that in. So now we're starting to see the Faze logo. It's coming to life a little bit, but we still don't have any of the 3D effects because we don't have any of this lighting going on, which they have. And that is crucial, I think, to bringing this to life, and any of the imagery. So bear with it if you're thinking that doesn't look a thing like it. It will come together. So now I'm going to see what they have, just sort of literally had a flat texture around the outside. So we're going to be doing that as well. So just literally, I think it's the whole way around the entire image. Just going in a little bit. Like making a little bit of a cut into it, as you can see, like I'm doing here. Try and keep the width roughly the same. Obviously you're not going to measure every single line, but you can sort of tell if you're going like that or like too thin. Just keep it the same. And I put a little overlay on this where every time I click it shows up in blue. That might be a bit annoying. This is the first time doing that. So just tell me what that's like. If that helps or just annoys you. So now what I need to do here is make a selection. And then we're going to inverse the selection. So Control I. Oops, not Control I. I guess we'll have to actually go to select and inverse. So it's Shift Control and I usually. And that now means that I'm pasting there instead of on the inside. So I'm just going to fill that in with a very, very light red. Doesn't really matter what you fill that in with. Oh, we need to do it on the layer above, right there. Even the layer above that, because that is oops, I'm scared now. I'm going to go right to the top and paste that. And I'm going to quickly delete that and work out where all these layers are coming from. So that is that. I think I'm just deleting those. I don't think that one's necessary. Right, you can't really see what I'm doing here, so I'm going to try and stop doing that. Merge those layers. So now I have all of the red on one layer, and we're going to take this pink layer that's on top and right click and do a clipping mask so that we get this outline here. And now this is where we're just going to play around with this. So we could just put it to overlay mode, that looks quite cool. But for now we're just going to put it to normal layer mode and lower the opacity slightly. Now I'm using an overlay pack. You can use whatever overlay pack you want. I might put some in the description. I don't own them, so I feel like it's not something that I should, but I guess it is just promoting. But really, if you just type into YouTube overlay packs, I know that all the Call of Duty themes one have flares on, and what a flare is if I drag this in, it's this light beam. Make sure which one we're using. So I just need to see what the best one would be. I'm looking for quite a fat one, I think, but I don't really know if... So for the top, something quite bright, and then for the rest of them, I wonder what that flare is. It is just good to have something like this, a pack like this, because when it comes to editing stuff, you never, you don't want to be making everything yourself. It's always good to be able to own your own content and say that, oh, I made that, but at the same time, quite oftenly, no one would know. You can just sneak in some little effects here and there that just help the overall look of your designs. So I'm just going to be going around all the edges here, putting these flares on, so you can go ahead and do that yourself, and you just literally drag it in from your pack document into your new layer here. And I'm going to need to rub out all the edges of these flares, because we don't want them to be showing up on the background, which we'll be looking at in a minute when I change the colour. As soon as we change it to grey, it's all going to become very visible. Oh, that needs rotating slightly. Tilt that around. And that could, if I lift it up a little bit, could cover the top line as well. Something like that. And then... oh, that might be the trick. Just, if I create clipping masks for all of them, then they shouldn't overhang at all. But then I'll make a layer for all of them. And then if this happens, don't panic. It's where the flares aren't made to be on normal layers. You then go into the layer options up here and go overlay sometimes works for some, clearly not this one, but screen is usually where a screen is up here. Screen's usually the fix. Now we're going to use the rubber tool with very low hardness so that it just sort of sponges stuff out. And just rub out like the parts like that. And like that, just any bits that you just don't really want. Then lower the opacity of the entire thing, I think, because it's a bit heavy. Now we could experiment with this one a little bit more, so I'm going to actually put the colour options to this one to straight white. So now I'm going to start working on making it 3D. I have a reference image here, Lewis Lit. If any of you watch Suits, then you'll know who this is. If not, never mind. But it's a nice high quality photo, and it matches the kind of thing that you're going to want to do this. So you're going to want to add it to the clipping mask and bring it down to the bottom so that everything else shows above it. And then put so the bit, you need to think of an image that can pop out nicely. So I'm going to be having his head coming out, and I might even have his face sort of coming over the sides. So if you see here, the head of that sort of comes over. That's quite good. It's really just playing around. I'm not too sure how this will come out. We might have to adjust some stuff slightly. But I'm thinking something around there. And then once you have it in place, you're going to want to duplicate it and bring another one to the top. And because all I want is his head on this one, I'm going to rub everything else out. As close as I can. And then with the pen tool, oh, scraped off a little bit of hair there. With the pen tool, I'm just going to go around the outside of his face from any skin. If you want to use this exact photo, then you can. I'll put it down in the description, or just choose your own one. But it might be what you do might be slightly different. But yeah, I'm just gonna choose the bit that you want to make like jump out of the logo. Put that on a separate layer above everything else, and then just start sort of chopping. This bit's annoying because it's not. He has got hair, but it's not very much, so I do actually have to still make it look a little bit messy. That should be alright, just little. So a few grey hairs, I see. Right, and you're gonna pull it back around. Almost done. This is just rough so that you can get the idea, but you want to spend probably quite a while on this one. On like chopping bits out, because it's gonna be visible if you've rushed it. Like people are gonna see, oh, what am I doing there? Just following the skin. So got that selection. Right click, make a selection, and then I'm gonna go Control Shift I to inverse it, and I'm gonna delete everything that's on the outside just to keep his head. So now you can see that that is the only bit that pops out, and that looks a bit weird because of his tie isn't coming out. So I'm gonna duplicate, put it back on top, and I'm just gonna. Oh, I might have to do this whole bit of shirt, to be honest. Just choose that little bit there. Delete everything else and put that back on top and sync that up to where it should be. Like that. I'm going to rub just this outside bit here. I feel like something's on a low opacity. Oh yeah, because that's right, so that needs to be a clipping mask. Down with that, these need to be clipping masks. The head. Oh no, the collar shouldn't be. That needs to come out. So now I'm gonna just smoothing that bit out there because it's sort of blending in with everything else, which isn't what I want it to do. Just like that. I think that looks quite nice. Now his head looks really dodgy. I should have spent more time with that. Look at it. So I'm just going to put the brush on as like not hard as you can go, as soft as you can go. Make it quite large and just go around the outside so you get it so it sort of cuts out to white a little bit. And then I'm going to lower the opacity, not lower the size of them. And just smooth some of the jagged bits out. So there you have the Faze logo with the 3D pop-out effect. I'm gonna smooth his ears out. Just like that. And that was quite nice. Now I'm going to make a new layer, 1920 by 1080, and I'm going to group everything that's on here together. Just like that. I'm going to remove that bit. And now we're going to put the text on so we get the name underneath, just because that will finish the whole thing off. It looks so strange because there's a really big head. It's just not sort of the normal thing that would be in a gamer's picture, but you know. So we're going to get the Batman Forever font, because that is the one that I said looks like Faze, links in the description, and we're just going to type out Lewis, because that's the name of this character. So about 200 would probably be about right, and I'm going to look for inspiration, see how they did it. So they have it with a little stroke, a little drop shadow, and parting, and they have it a similar colour to however the thing is. So I'm going to go with like something like that. They have a small drop shadow that doesn't seem to have any distance or direction, but it just comes out slightly. Very, very thin stroke by the looks of it. Lower the opacity. In fact, it might even be a bit of an image on the inside. We'll see how that looks. So I'll get like a picture of Lewis, put it over the top, make the clipping mask. Rasterize this one. And then just really make it large so you can just get some of the texture like that. Filter blur so you can't see what's going on, but you just manage to get some of the colours. Drag that around, see where's best. not really getting what I was hoping for, but that's one way of doing it. And then what else do they have? So now they have the little, I'm going to merge those both together. Now for this bit they have it cut through, so they have it lighter at the top and dark at the bottom, so we're going to make a layer above this one, make it black, rectangle, just drag over the top like that, rasterize, create a clipping mask, and then lower the opacity so that you get it like this. And now it's just sort of ringing in my head that it does need a bit more of a drop shadow. Maybe a slightly thicker stroke. Oh, that's going weird actually. Just going to cancel that, and I'm going to put the background on. And that, to be honest guys, is sort of how you'd make the Faze logo. So that is how to make it exactly how they made it. Obviously I showed you how to make the pop out effect differently. Do a little finishing touch just to try and make it look a little bit nicer. Yeah, that does need more of a drop shadow, but that's good for now. I hope this helped you. If you want to now make something like this but for your own team, so you want to make a new shape that isn't an F, then stick around for the next part, because I'll be covering that. You can even put a drop shadow on that, to be honest, that might not look too bad. Yeah, so I think that's not bad for our first try, and then when we make our own one in the next part, we can experiment with the shape. I might do like a J for James or a G for Griffin being the name of the channel and my second name. Not too sure, but head over to that video, leave likes, hope this helped you, and have a nice day everyone. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.